Hey everybody, it's Gabe from Thinking Outside the Long Box, and I'm coming at you with another quick review. Hey everybody, coming at you with another quick review today. We're going to talk about Joe the Barbarian from Grant Morrison and Sean Murphy. Just so you know, this will be a little spoilery. So if you haven't read it, sorry. So Joe the Barbarian is a really fascinating little book. It tells the story of this boy who is in his home. He has hypoglycemia, and when his blood sugar goes, I'm going to say too low for hypoglycemia. I'm not 100% sure how that works. Probably should have looked it up. But he begins to hallucinate, and the hallucinations take him into a world where he is mirroring his home, but with a fantasy world. So his pet rat becomes a barbarian warrior. He turns on the tub, and as it overflows, it turns into like this giant river that goes throughout the entire home, that sort of thing. So it's this really cool dichotomy of the real world, him flashing in and out of the real world with this fantasy world. But what makes it really interesting is that there's not really any delineation between the two worlds. He comes in and out of them literally from panel to panel. The real world is a little more gray, but it's not really distinct like it is in other comics when they're trying to put a distinction between two different worlds. The way they do it is fascinating. The way Sean and Morrison do it, it becomes like this seamless thing that he's traveling between, and then the entire thing becomes a metaphor for the death of his father, because what he's really dealing with is that his mom is about to lose the house because she's widowed, because his father died in combat. And so he's wrestling with all of these emotions about his father kind of leaving him, and his, mother struggling to keep the house, and also with the hallucinations that are being caused by his sickness. It is a really cool book. Someone on CCBE recommended it. I'm really glad I picked it up. Like, Grant Morrison's writing really is a solid emotional thing, and it's phenomenal. It's just one of those things where you feel the emotion behind it. It comes from a personal place, like whether he has hypoglycemia and has experienced some kind of like hallucinations and things, or if he's just speaking from a place of loss, which we've all is something that we've all had to deal with. I'm not 100% sure like where that comes from, but in general, the way those emotions are expressed through the writing are phenomenal. And on top of it, Sean Murphy's style, in things like Punk Rock Jesus and stuff, his style can be incredibly sketchy. It looks tighter in Joe the Barbarian. It still does have those like kind of rough around the edges feels that his art often has, but it's done a little tighter, and the colorization really pulls it together. It's a beautiful book. It's a well-written book. It is an endearing book. And honestly, it's one of the better books that I've read this year. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. It kind of bums me out that I didn't read it earlier. It's one of those books that I really wish I would have caught when it was coming out. But I think it was in the time when I was not like really reading comic books very actively. I love this book. It's probably one of the better books that I've checked out from my local library, which incidentally, go to your local library if you are looking for some great reads. Most libraries have a phenomenal graphic novel section, and if your library doesn't, just talk to a librarian and tell them how excited they would be to have all those new customers reading all those comic books for free instead of paying for them. But it's definitely one of the best picks that I've gotten from the library, and I honestly really want to pick it up for my personal collection. I think it's something that, as both of my older kids could definitely read this book And I think they would both enjoy it a lot, this mixture of fantasy and reality and dealing with issues of like loss and grief and stuff like that. It's just, overall, it's just a really beautiful book. If I had to give it ratings, it's definitely going to get the 2 thumbs up because it was really, really fun. Those are right here, 2 thumbs up. So, yeah, Joe the Barbarian, great book. I forget on CCBE who recommended it, but thank you for recommending it. It was phenomenal. Go pick it up. Enjoy. Hey everybody, thank you for watching my review of Joe the Barbarian. Be sure to check out our playlist of other reviews, our interviews playlist, subscribe to us on YouTube, and join us on Patreon. We'd love to have you on board. To listen to our podcast, visit us at www.totlb.com. I guarantee you'll have a good time.